All right, welcome back. If you found this video, now you're actually ready to dive into code, look in GitHub, and actually get busy. So here we are. This is the GitHub for MeshNet. So if you're not familiar, it's github.com/shell.shet/MESHNET. So MeshNet. And this is where all the code is going to be held. For this specific part of the project, we're pulling down just a basic file, a basic folder, that has three different files: the HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript of this actual project. These are the three files. What I did is I basically went to MeshNet, the actual folder that is in GitHub, and I clicked on this. I'm just going ahead and show you what is actually there. Those three files, we're going to be seeing those specifically in Sublime. So let's go back up to the root folder. And what you can do, we're not going to dive into the terminal today. We're just going to be downloading it straight from this GitHub repo. What you can do is basically click on this green button over here that says clone or download. And then what you want to do is click download zip. So what this does, it basically downloads a zip folder to your computer. And when that's all done, you can actually double click and open it. For people on Windows, you just have to extract that. And when you extract it, I actually have it open here. You get now this folder, right? Inside of that folder, you have Fakebook. So this is the actual folder that we're working on for this project. And you have this README, right? So what we can do, let's actually open up our Sublime. So I have Sublime Text open. If you're new to Sublime, head over to sublimetext.com. Actually, I can show you, pull it up here. Sublimetext.com, and you can download it for free. I have a Mac, I downloaded it for free. They tend to get a bit picky and ask you to pay for it. I never pay for it, so you just actually download it and just keep running on the low. So now when you're in Sublime Text, what you want to do is take the folder and actually drop it in Sublime Text. What that does now, it actually opens up the folder, the project itself, inside of Sublime Text for you. So we're going to open that, open up part one. If there's multiple folders, we're just going to look at part one for today and part one for this video session. We can actually go in and play with the code and actually see it work. What I also want you to do is, while you actually have the folder open, double click on the Fakebook, double click on part one, and we have this index.html file. What you want to do is take that file and drop it into your browser of choice. What that does, it basically opens up this file on your browser. With that being said, let's actually look at it and see what we can do. You should see a blank screen here. Nothing really to worry about. If you actually change code in the index.html file, you actually will see changes here. So what I did is I basically added this template for you guys. It actually has the importing of the CSS right here. We have the importing of the JavaScript. We're actually not going to be looking at that in this first part, just because we're looking at strictly just HTML, CSS, and how they connect, and actually designing that page. And what we're going to do is basically go to the body, and we're going to type in hi, right? We're going to remember to save, so you can actually do Command S if you're on a Mac, or Control S if you're on a PC. Or if you don't want to do that, you can head up over to the top, File, and then Save. So just make sure you save it, and when you actually head back over to the Fakebook, this actual browser that you have open, and when you refresh, you can go to File, and actually it's not here. Where is it? I don't know, actually, they'll find it. But what I always do is I just do Command R to refresh, or Control R. So what you want to see is actually just seeing this hi here. If you see hi, you know you're right to go. So let's get rid of this hi, and let's get busy. So while we're here, let's actually simultaneously have up the Facebook page, as we're going to be copying that. And let me just close this. So we're going to be duplicating this exact page as we have in the Fakebook project. We're going to be pretty simple. We're going to start with just throwing on the overall structure, right? There's no real rhyme or reason to this. We're just going to be throwing up the pieces that we see on this actual page. So let's actually start with a simple div block, just the overall structure of the page. We're going to have another div block at the bottom. And I don't know, I'm struggling to type right now. So we're going to start with fake book because we don't want to copy Facebook. We save, in the right place if you see fake book. Cool. So let's continue on. What we want is an input, and that'll be our first little, this will be this guy right here. Input, and for now, let's actually just put a placeholder, and we're going to say email. Cool. And what we want is another one of these guys, and this one will be for our password. And what we want is a button, and for this button, we're gonna have log in. So let's go ahead and save to make sure we're on the right track. And cool. So now we see our fake book, the title, which is the Facebook that you see here. We have our email, we have our password, we have our login button. We're doing pretty good so far. So now let's actually go into the form. So we're going to make another div. We're going to close out this div, and we're going to go ahead and start typing in the stuff that we see for the actual form itself. So sign up, and we're going to say, signing up, it's quick and easy. Oh, not wick, quick and easy dot. And we want an input, and we're going to have a placeholder here, and we're going to say first name, and we're going to get another one of these guys. We're going to say last name, and let's make a lot more of these guys. Mobile number or email, and we're going to go ahead and say for this one, new password. Cool. Let's go ahead and stop here for now and kind of set these up. So let's go ahead and save. So Command S or Control S and refresh. Cool. So now we have, again, the main header, and now we have our second part, which is the form itself. So we're going to be focusing on just this stuff over here, right? So let's actually start structuring how the first part of it looks. So let's start structuring how this overall header is going to look. So we have our div block here, which defines and describes this first header up here. And we have this second div block, which defines the form, right? So let's break up how sign up shows, how it's quick and easy shows, and how these specific elements, these input fields show up. So if we want to do that, remember how we defined there's two different types of HTML tags. There are block items, and there's actually inline block items. So what we want is, let's just throw sign up in an H1 tag, right? So let's go ahead and save and see how that looks. So for now, don't worry about the design, don't worry about how it looks, just we're gonna separate it all out, and then we're gonna actually design it in a second. So we have sign up, and we have now, let's say, make this in H2 and H2. Cool. And let's go and save again. And cool. So now we have sign up, and it's quick and easy. These are two separate pieces, and we have them on separate lines. So now let's actually separate out first name, last name input field from the mobile number and the new password. So what we want to do, in order to do that, let's actually make two different div blocks, because div blocks are actually block elements. So let's go ahead and say div right here, type that in. In HTML, the tabs don't actually matter. They just actually they actually are more for aesthetic. So when you're actually coding, they don't actually define and change anything. They just really function to allow you to be able to see what's inside of it, something else, like nested elements. So let's go ahead and define this as another div. So what we're separating and wrapping these input fields in div blocks so that you can actually have them show up on separate lines. Typically, input fields, they like to be next to each other. There's no social distancing going on there. They actually like to be all inline just because they're inline elements. But what we're doing is wrapping them around with div blocks so that they are separated. They take up the full width. They don't like to be next to each other now. So when you refresh, now you have here first name and last name on its line on the line by itself. We have mobile number and email on a line by itself, and then new password on a line by itself. Because we have this div block, we have this div block, we have this div block. Let me go ahead and throw in some comments so we can actually remember where things are. So we're going to say this is our header, and we're going to go ahead and make this, our form, and cool. So from there, let's go ahead and save again. You don't really see any of these comments, like this stuff right here is not showing up in the code. It's actually just showing up in your actual text. So you guys should see it when you go back in and look at it. You can find it and look at it by yourself. And now let's actually fill in this bottom part down here. So you see the birthday, this is a drop down, and actually gender. So this is a selector, a radio button selector. So let's actually fill that in. So as always, we're going to create a separate section. We're going to make this a div. Oh, not data, div. And we're going to go ahead and fill inside here with, we're going to say birthday, and we're going to make a drop down. So this is something we haven't seen yet. So this is something called a select, and within select, there's a whole bunch of options. And so for drop downs, the way you can actually do that is you create a select tag, and then within that select tag, we have the options. And so this is like the months, the days, the years, really the things that are actually filled in that drop down. So let's say for this first one, we're going to just do pretty simple, right? We're going to say month. And then for that, we're actually going to have January as our first month, right? So let's actually go ahead and save that. So Command S or Control S if you're on a PC. When we refresh here now, we see this drop down with the month, and you actually can see month, January. So we got it working, right? Let's go ahead and add in the rest of the months. So January, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Cool. Let's hopefully we get 12. We're going to say February, March. Hope you guys know your months. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Got too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Cool. We know our months. And let's go ahead and save and refresh. Now we have this month drop down with all the months here. Beautiful. And let's do the same thing, but for the day now. So for this, I don't feel like typing all 31 days, so I'll just keep it up to as many as we have here. So I think we should get to 12. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Cool. And now if we save on this guy, save on the actual Sublime text, and refresh our page here, we have now day. Beautiful, 1 through 12. And we can select whatever day we want. And we can also select whatever month we want. Cool. Now let's actually do years. So similar to days and months, years are no different. And we're going to go ahead and say 2000, I guess. Wow, the youth, man. If you were born in 2000, you're actually be 19 this year. Jeez Louise. I feel old. But yeah, so we're going and go out to the 80s, the simpler times. So if you have fake book, you're only allowed to be between the years of 1981 and 1992. Cool. And so now we're going to save. So Command S again, and then Command R, because I'm on a Mac. You can do Control R also on a PC to refresh. And you see the drop down. Beautiful. All the years are here now. All the days are here now. And all the months are here now. Beautiful. We're cooking with fire. Cool. So now we have our birthday drop downs. We'll go ahead and add a comment here. Oops, not there. Birthday section. And we're going to now go into the genders. So let's go ahead and throw a comment before we get there. It's going to say gender section. And as always, we're going to start it with div block. And we'll go ahead and make this div block starting with gender, the text. And we're going to go ahead and make this what's called a radio button input, right? So it's similar to our input field. So let's go ahead and start it with input. And the way it works is that instead of it being a regular input, we're actually going to call it a type of radio. And we're going to have a value of, let's say for this one, we're going to say female. This doesn't actually play in for HTML or CSS, the value actual attribute, but we're actually going to see how it's used in JavaScript. So value, the important field here is ID, because that's actually specifying what this specific button is. And we're actually going to see how this allows you to actually connect it to the label. So the text itself that's here, female, you can actually connect that via the ID. So we're going to also call this female. Just for actually differentiation purposes, we're going to actually put ID here, just so I show you guys how they connect. We also add in value, let's say val, right? You actually don't really need to have these here, but I'm just going to have them here just to show you guys how where they actually used specifically. But the other thing that's important for radio buttons is an attribute called name, right? And if you want, so you see here how in Facebook they have, if you click on male, it selects this little bubble, but also if you click on female, it deselects the male bubble and selects the female bubble. That's done via the name. Since these both have the same name, they actually force it such that there's a toggling effect. So I'll show you guys in a second. So let's go and make this gender. And in order for us to have this show up as having the word female next to it, what we need is a label. And for that label, we're going to have female. And I'll show you guys in a second how why having the ID as female is important in a second. So I'm going to save this, and when I refresh on this page, we have gender, female, and we have a bubble. Cool. If you click the bubble, it selects the bubble, right? Beautiful. So now let's actually throw up another one of these guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap these in a span tag just so we actually can keep them kind of clean. I like to have things in a separate place. Span doesn't really have an impact on like the placement of these because, as we know, span is an inline block, and so it keeps all the bubbles together in the same line. So I'm going to go ahead and add another one called male. So male, we're going to change this to male. We're going to change this to male. Cool. So now we have a radio button with the value male-val, ID as male-ID. The name of it is gender, same as this one right here. So when we actually save here and refresh here, if you click this bubble right here, this bubble gets illuminated, but if you click this bubble now, this one gets deselected and this one gets selected. But the interesting thing is that if you click the text male, nothing happens, right? The way we can actually have the interaction of clicking on the male text illuminate this bubble and clicking on the female text illuminating this bubble is by connecting the label to the input, right? And the way we do that is by referencing using for and actually going to female ID, right? And similarly, for, we go to male ID and save that. And when we refresh, now we can actually click on the E in male, we can click on the M in female, we can click on any of the text in these and actually it selects that and also has a deselecting aspect. So now let's go ahead and add this last radio button selector. We're going to say custom, and as Facebook has, Facebook shall have as well the custom and here custom. Cool. So now we have our 3 bubbles: custom, male, female. Beautiful. Now, last but almost not least is our terms of service and the button right here. Just go ahead and add another div. It's another section. We're gonna make it a div block, and as before, let's add in some comments to make this commented out. Good comments is always good for everyone. We're gonna have terms of servicio. And what we want is actually just this text right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy this text, paste this guy right here, and let's save. Let's see what we see. Cool. So now we have this big block of text, but the interesting thing is that in this block of text, there's 3 links. So there's terms, data policy, and cookies. These all get linked out to other pages. And so the way we do that, the way I actually like to do that is separating out separate spans. So let's go to span. And as we saw, span is just another HTML inline block element that allows you to have other inline block text next to each other. So, whoopsies. I'm actually untabbing it. What I want now is actually having sign up as a button. And so what I'm going to do here, actually I'm gonna go ahead and take this tag and close it right here. And now we're gonna actually have an A, which is signifying a link. And we're gonna go ahead and close that A tag right here. And we're going to have another span. And we're gonna close that span right here. And we're gonna have another A tag. And we're gonna close this A tag right here. And we're gonna have a span. I'll explain this in a second, but everyone close this here. And as you can see, I'm actually just wrapping the links in A's and everything else that's not a link in a span. Whoopsies. Span, cool. An A, and last but not least, an A, throw that right there. And we need to close our span out, span in and span out with a span. Whoopsies. Delete that, delete this, and beautiful. So what we have here is 7 tags, a span right here, followed by a sign up. Oh, that's funny. The sign up is not a button, so let's actually remove that guy. So let's put this guy back into the rest of the text. Got a little button happy. So by signing up, you agree to our link right here. So terms, comma space, so this little comma between terms and data, and then data policy, a link, and to our cookies policy. So cookies policy is a link and then followed by the rest of the text. So what we want to do, as we saw in the past class, that if you have a link, the way you can actually make it show up as a link is by having href. So www.terms.com. It doesn't really matter what we put here. Typically, we want to have pages that this points out to, but for now, I'm just going to actually throw in kind of some static dummy text, data policy.com. And in here, href equals www.cookies.com, because your boy likes cookies. And we're going to save and refresh here. Cool. By clicking sign up, you agree to our link of terms, comma space, data policy, comma space, and cookies policy. Beautiful. Nice. So we have all these showing up as links. We have some nice text here. We're going to wrap this and design this in a second. And then let's add in our button now. Cool. And throw in some comments. Button section. Throw in another div. And then we're going to throw in some text in between this button. So we're going to say button and this button. Oh, whoopsies. And inside the button, we have sign up. Beautiful. So now, at this point, if we go ahead and save one last time and we refresh one last time, we have all the elements here. So let's scroll up to the top and actually review everything. So we have our header, which is signified by this top section up here. This section starting right here. We have our form, which is described by all the elements right here. We have our birthday section, which is the years, days, months, signified by this section right here. We have our gender section, signified by all of the elements right here. And last but not least, we have our terms of service and all of our nice, cute little buttons, signified with things right here. And we have a sign up button, which is signified by sign up button. So now what we have is basically all the separate sections broken up into separate areas. We have them in separate div blocks. And what we're going to do next is actually go in and style them, change some colors, change some designs, add some padding, add some margin, having all the fire things in there. So basically it looks just like Facebook, but it's actually going to be our fake book. So stay tuned and stay tuned for the next class because we're actually going to dive into adding more design. So I hope this was fun. Hope this was exciting. I know it doesn't look too cute right now, but we're actually adding a little more color in the next section. So talk to you guys in a second. See you soon.